Hey, I'm Kelly Hogan, and welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. For the past 15 years, I have been sharing about how a diet made up of entirely animal products has changed my life and my health for the better. I talk about it incessantly because I was feeling so bad for the first 25 years of my life when I was eating a wide variety of diets. Once I changed my food and made some lifestyle changes, I felt like a whole new person, and I just want to pass that on to everybody that'll hold still for 5 seconds. So thank you for coming here and allowing me to share with you today. I recently shared some more controversial ways that people are losing weight, neither of which I have personally tried. I invited Dr. Boz to my channel several weeks ago to talk through the best way that people could possibly add a low dose of GLP-1 to their carnivore diet. And more recently, I talked about how some people are dropping weight by doing things like eating pure sugar, sometimes in the form of candy or fruit, while excluding all protein and all fat. And the truth is, there will always be many short-term ways that people can drop weight. Many of you have told me the dozens of wild ways that you have dropped weight quickly through the years. Please feel free to post in the comments if you have some unusual ones. I once did a yogurt diet. It definitely had sugar in it. It was sugar with some fat. It was a fail. I did pickles, nothing but pickles, for weeks. I did drop some weight, and when I went back to eating real food, you know the rest of the story. Other interesting ways that have been used throughout history to drop weight quickly include, and you can Google these, I'm not making them up. There was actually a cotton ball diet. It involves swallowing cotton balls that have been soaked in juice that allows you to feel full and to eat less. And I know what you're thinking, but you would choke or get intestinal blockages. That's true. Some people did. But to be fair, there were some people who did, in fact, lose weight. There was something called ear stapling. It's similar to acupuncture, but it's a surgical staple that's placed in the ear, and it decreased appetite. Something to consider. The tapeworm diet. We've all heard of this one. You intentionally ingest tapeworms, and the tapeworm, there's actually a tapeworm cyst, and it would cause you to lose weight. Well, the tapeworms would steal your nutrients and can actually cause some pretty severe health issues like infections or organ failure. But when your organs fail, you will be skinnier. So do not let me stand in the way. There was a cigarette diet in the 1920s. It was promoted by the brand Lucky Strike. It encouraged people to smoke instead of snacking. And even though there are some risks to smoking, it would probably work to help you lose a few pounds. Of course, we all know about juice cleanses. It's a very restrictive diet where you can only consume juice for a time period. It did lead to nutrient deficiencies, and many people reported they eventually gained more weight than they even lost. In fact, Northwestern University did a study. It was just a 3-day juice cleanse, but they found that it triggered some shifts in the gut and oral bacteria that are linked to some pretty serious inflammation, and the people suffered cognitive decline. It was a 3-day study. But if you are here looking for some very quick weight loss, it is an option. So there you go, a few to get you started. So yes, there are some ways that you could simply lose weight. As somebody who has lost over 130 pounds, and I have kept it off for 15 years, I am very glad that I lost the weight. I am. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you weight loss doesn't matter. No, I don't want it back. I didn't lose it. I released it. We look for things that we lose. I'm not on the hunt. But I very much hope that if you are interested in weight loss, you are also interested in gaining better health in the process. Unlike these crash diets that I just listed, I am interested in the kind of weight loss that my friend Danny Conway talks about. She says optimal weight loss is a result of having a healthy body and balanced hormones. You are not going to get that with tapeworms and cotton balls. I have found that there are 5 foundations that lead to better health and that ultimately lead to body fat reduction. So number 1, cutting out the foods that actually cause inflammation. You know what they are. They were probably at one point your most favorite foods. Then eating foods that are full of nutrients with plenty of fat for our hormones and the protein that we need as building blocks for muscles and for just survival. And then the other three involve getting good sleep, moving our bodies, using muscle, and managing stress. I also find that it is helpful to have times of refeeding our bodies to get back to an adequate amount, what many people would call maintenance calories, and then occasionally implementing a 10 to 20% calorie deficit. I know. What about a fuel deficit, a meat deficit, a slight deficit? And very often, when people do those 5 things and even potentially look at some tracking if they need to, and maybe even the refeed and an occasional deficit, wow, we can get some serious long-term results while still feeling amazing and being able to form sentences. What a benefit. Now, I have done some short-term tweaks or challenges that actually have helped with weight loss along the way. Some of them actually include nutrients like a sardine fast or a fat fast where you have nothing but pure fat for the day. So you're getting beef fat, egg yolks, heavy cream, just pure fat, which still includes nutrients and leaves me feeling really good and actually quite sharp. Some people have broken a stall by changing up their workout routine, adding things like Japanese interval walking, which I just talked about with my groups recently, adding higher weight at the gym, or even more reps, just changing it up, or even taking a very well-timed rest day when it's needed. So just like there are many very unhealthy, stupid ways that you can just drop weight and get lighter, there are some very powerful tools too that you can use in addition to those 5 foundations of health. In today's video, you will be hearing from people who have focused on the foundations. They want to share how it has also changed their life. This is not about a quick fix. It is about better health. None of these folks were begged to come on here. None of them were compensated in any way. They just want to come and share their story in hopes that if somebody else is feeling stuck, miserable, hungry, if you're eating rice cakes and running or following every little fad out there, but you would really like to live a long and healthy life with a functioning brain, you're in the right place. So, please welcome today's guest to the channel. All right, coming up first today, I have Jill and her 3-month-old Ellie. And Jill, I know very little about your story. What did you want to share today?
Sure. So I actually started the carnivore journey a year before I got pregnant with Ellie. My mom inspired me. She's been on carnivore for years. And I kind of thought she was crazy at first, but just seeing her results and my dad's results, I thought there's something to this. I had been on keto. I would say a dirty keto because I wasn't monitoring anything. And I was convinced. I switched over to carnivore, and I had been eating the carnivore lifestyle, strict carnivore and dairy-free for a year. And for each of my kids, I had to go through a fertility specialist. And the second child in Ellie was with the same doctor. So I don't know how familiar you are with that, but when you go in, they draw tons and tons of labs. I was 42. And she did all these labs, and she compared them to my labs in my 30s with my second child. And she was so floored by my results. She actually called in another doctor to sit in. And she was like, I don't know what you're doing, but please tell me, because I'm going to bottle it up and sell it and retire on an island in the Caribbean. And she was just like, your numbers, not only are they better than your 30s, which is almost unheard of, she's like, but these are so good. I compare them to our donors that we recruit in their 20s. And she's like, this is amazing. What are you doing? And I told her, and I said, the only thing that's been different is carnivore. I've been eating a carnivore diet and for a year, and that's it. That's the only thing that's changed. And she was just, I don't know how she took it initially. She was just kind of jaw drop. And she said, I'm going to have to look into this a little bit. And I said, you should. And that was the thing that was amazing. Of course, I got pregnant with her my very first try, no issues. And then the pregnancy itself was also healthy, like no issues at all. I had her at 43 and everything's been good.
I had no idea. I saw that you showed up with a baby, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, busy mom, I get it.
Yeah.
I had no idea this was a fertility story. I'm so passionate about this side of carnivore.
Oh, you really? Yeah.
Oh, I had my own fertility struggles, and I was very
Uh-huh.
new to carnivore when I was trying to get pregnant with my daughter Julia. I had not even had a period in 2 years before
Gotcha.
starting carnivore. So that's going to make it a challenge, right? And then I started carnivore, and my cycle came back. And then I was able to go to my doctor and say, I'm feeling so much better these days. And she also asked me, what are you doing? I said, I am eating so much fatty meat. And she said, you know what? Around the world, there are countries that will call that the fertility diet. Lots of fatty meat and even creams and
Uh-huh.
these animal products, eggs, in the absence of carbs. She said, I've heard of this being called the fertility diet, but I think I was the first one to come in and show up, pregnant.
Yeah, I kind of got the same impression because I'm like, there's other fertility doctors out there that do discuss it.
Yes,
Like, but that was it. And she was just like, this is amazing. She
it
said,
is.
unfortunately, you won't be going through menopause anytime soon. But she's like, if that was something you were looking forward to, which I wasn't, but
Yeah.
it was awesome.
That
So,
is awesome. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
46 at this point. I had my third baby. Well, she's 9 now. So I was a
Mhm.
little later to the game, but having babies in your 40s, I am
Mhm.
so excited for you and glad that people will be able to hear the story. If anybody wants to learn more about fertility and carnivore and that connection, a great resource is Dr. Robert Kiltz. Are you familiar with Dr. Kiltz, Jill?
Actually, I mentioned Dr. Kiltz to her, and I
Oh,
said
good.
you should look at his work a little bit and see, just if you're interested. So,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. I'm so glad the two of you came on today. She is beautiful, and so are you. And I'm just so happy for the both of you, and also happy that you helped tell a doctor who might be able to pass this on to somebody else, and that you're passing it on here today. So thank you so much, Jill. Of
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for letting me share.
course. Okay, I am so excited to hear what our next carnivore guest has to share. Welcome to the channel, Laylee.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this is pretty cool because I actually got to meet Laylee in person over the weekend in Chicago. So we
Yes.
got some selfies and hugged it out and ate meat together. So I'm excited to talk to you. I know a little bit about your story, but kind of what brought you to carnivore and what's it done for you?
So, growing up, I was a pretty average sized kid, but then when I hit puberty, I started to put on some weight and I never really took it off. Like, it just kept putting more on. By the time I was in middle school, I was a size 16 and I stayed pretty consistently around there through college. I lost some weight in my late 20s. I did Weight Watchers and lost about 50 some pounds, 60 pounds. But growing up, there was always some kind of fad diet going on. I remember my mom did Fit for Life. We had Deal a Meal, Weight Watchers, but it was all low fat, flavorless, demonized, the good foods. So my whole family had weight issues. And as a grown adult in my early 40s, I was 39, 40, I'd put on a lot of weight. And my mom had started doing keto because she had some major health issues. She had kidney failure, fatty liver, diabetes. So she had started doing keto and she'd been losing quite a bit of weight and her numbers were all improving
Oh,
drastically. So I know the exact date that I decided to go keto. It was June 16th of 2020. It was my mother's birthday.
oh,
I had a doctor's appointment and I was walking into the doctor's appointment and I tripped and fell in the parking lot and twisted my ankle.
oh,
And so I get up to the doctor's office. I'm already frustrated. And I got on the scale and I was the heaviest I had ever been in my adult life, 283 pounds. I knew something had to change. The next week I came back for the follow-up after my twisted ankle, 291. It was bad. So June 16th, I decided I'm going to go keto. And I did that until November of 2023. So 3.5 years-ish. And I lost quite a bit of weight. I lost 70 pounds
wow.
and I started to do better. So before keto, I was on two blood pressure medications. I was on a high dose of Prozac for depression and anxiety. I took a daily Prilosec for acid reflux, and I just had awful joint inflammation. Ankles, knees, legs, everything would be swollen and puffy if I did physical activity. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without getting winded. And I was only 40, it was so that was bad. And I fell all the time and tripped on things and sprained ankles. I literally had a compression like brace bandage for every joint. And I had ace bandages that I would like have on hand in case I twisted something and needed to wrap it. Like I
Oh,
was a mess. I'd even broken my foot and had surgery on my foot. Keto did amazing things for me. I got off both of my blood pressure medications while I was keto, and I stopped the Prozac. Uh, and like I said, I lost about 70 pounds, but I still wasn't feeling really great. I had not very much energy. I was still taking the Prilosec, and my joints were still inflamed. I would still have puffy legs and ankles, and uh, I knew that I needed to change something. And I'd been following you and Dr. Barry and some other carnivore influencers out there, and I I was just afraid to take that next step. And I'd been looking at sustainable clothing choices. This is like a weird little thing, but I wanted to do a 100-day dress challenge with this company, Woolland, not sponsored. They do clothing challenges where if you buy one of their dresses and you wear it for 100 days and take a picture every day for 100 days and share it with them, they give you a gift card for $100 off another item. So I did it. And 100 days later, I was like, hey, I can do hard things. I wore this dress for 100 days. I could eat meat for 100 days.
yeah.
I could eat a steak. I could eat hamburger. There's plenty of different meats that I could eat. If I can wear a dress for 100 days, why can't I eat meat for 100 days? So I joined your groups in November 2023. November 6th was my first day, a Monday, and I have been all in pretty much ever since. And since then, I have lost around 40 pounds. I still have a lot to lose, but my body is healing. It took me 40 years to get to where I was, so I'm not expecting overnight results. I just bought pants like 3 weeks ago, and they're already starting to fall off. But yeah, that's where I am, and that's how I got here. And I really have my mom to thank for all of it because she got us started on the keto journey. And um, since I went carnivore, my sister has gone carnivore,
Oh,
and her three autistic children are meat-based. Uh, Last month, my dad had been like, "Oh yeah, I should go carnivore. I should do that. I'm trying, but I'm not doing great." But last month, he came and stayed with me after he had shoulder surgery, and I was like, "If you're staying with me, I'm cooking for you, and you're gonna do carnivore." So he's been carnivore ever since. It's been about a month, and he's lost 30 pounds.
oh my gosh.
He bought a Tastee Air-fryer. He said, "Thank KARENMILES for the discount code."
Awesome.
And he's like, I'm loving cooking meat at home. It's so affordable. It's great. I love it. And I'm saving so much money and I feel great. So yeah,
So
my carnivore
cool.
family.
That is so cool. Oh, I love this. Y'all, when I heard Laylee tell the dress story, I said, does it have to be 100 days in a row? Yes.
Mhm.
I was like, are you allowed to wash it? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'd never heard of such a thing. But she also was showing me that in pictures, she was able to change it up, make it interesting, add scarves, add little sweaters, add different accessories. And I thought that's kind of like carnivore. People say you only eat meat every day. Well, yeah, that's the base of it, but there are so many meats and seasonings and ways to make it exciting, different ways to cook your meats that you made your outfits interesting. And I'm sure you're
Yeah.
making carnivore interesting too. And I love that your family is trying it out. So, all total, you've lost over 100 pounds then.
Just close
About
to
100.
100.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And the fact that you're like me when I was younger, I was just putting on. So, when you realize, oh,
Hmm.
it's coming off, but really slow. Well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. That's the opposite
Yeah.
of what I was doing, which is putting it on
Hmm.
real fast.
And my
So
pants are falling off.
perfect. We'll take it. Laylee,
Yeah.
thank you. You bring so
Thank
much
you.
joy to our group. Anytime you're in the meetings and raise your hand, I'm like, I love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. All right. Our next brave participant is Sunny. Sunny, I don't have a clue what you're going to share with me today. And that's so exciting. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you. I'm excited. Like most people, yo-yo my whole life, up, down, all the bad diets did all kinds of things. But as I've settled into my more mature years, I've realized I need to start taking better care of myself. And of course, I wish I had done better earlier. So about 5 years ago, I started doing low carb paleo, which led into keto, which ultimately led to carnivore about a year and a half ago. And I've been on again, off again with carnivore during that time. I've had a few slip ups where I made poor decisions, which cost me greatly. But those instances are farther and farther in between. I'm not having so many of them. So that's been really good. I have gone down from 196 to 166.
Awesome.
In 5 months.
That's great. Wow.
I know. And it's because I went strict carnivore. It's less for me about the weight. It's about feeling better. Truly. I have connective tissue disorders. I have chronic pain. I have lupus. I have CIRS.
Oh my gosh.
All of these things. And when I eat carnivore, those things don't bother me. If I stick as close to lion diet as possible, my body really loves me. So I tend to lean into that more. But the real reason I want to talk today is because I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was in my very early 40s. But looking back, I can see my history and see that I had bipolar much further back. I mean, I remember it when I was a teenager, having these outrageous emotional outbursts and unable to understand, and mania where I couldn't go to sleep for 5, 6, 7 days in a stretch, risky behavior when I was in college, so on and so forth. So as you know, as I've been on this journey of self-discovery and trying to figure this out, it has been really, really rough. And they put me on medication that was bad. I was on antipsychotics for a while. And those tend to give people SI, or like suicidal ideation. And I was hospitalized twice with that. And then they took me off of the antipsychotics and put me on lithium, which is worse. Finally, they found the medication that worked, that didn't have quite so many side effects. But at this point in time, I was ballooning in my weight because I was lethargic. Medication makes you put on weight. You have no energy. You don't exercise. You're bored. You're tired. You're depressed. You eat. So this was kind of the cycle over the past few years. Last July, I posted in our group that my psychiatrist agreed that I was no longer in need of medication to manage my bipolar because carnivore was taking care of it.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
And that was huge. I was crying in the office. I called my husband on the way home. I was so thankful. I was praying. I was singing. I called my pastor and I'm like, you're not going to believe this.
Oh, Sonny.
I called friends who had been walking with us, me and my husband, as we were going through all of my problems. Called my daughter and apologized because she bore the brunt of a lot of it growing up. And so it was a big deal to hear that. Yesterday, I saw my doctor, my GP, and she said, I am marking your bipolar as resolved, as you have not had any symptoms or problems, hospitalizations, or needs for medication for 22 months.
Amazing. Wow. Sonny.
And that is the success for me. The rest of it, I don't even care what the scale says. I don't have to take any medication to stay vertical. I don't have to feel like, oh, am I behaving okay in public?
Sonny, I could just cry for you, my friend. I am so happy and thankful. The mental health part of why people stay carnivore is, I feel like it's so overlooked and underestimated.
It's massive.
Oh.
It is absolutely massive.
So we hear it, and they weren't on here when I was doing the intro, but talking about there are so many fad diets and quick fixes for weight.
Yes.
And the ones that I listed were mostly insane, although they have been used many times through the years. I can about bet money there is no fad diet out there that is going to give what you have received from this carnivore diet.
Yes. I've done a lot of the fad diets. I've done all kinds of terrible decisions.
Yeah.
And every time I would feel worse. I mean, I can pinpoint what I was eating to why I ended up in the hospital both times.
Yeah.
It wasn't meat.
Right. So the fact that you can get this healing, and
Yes.
some people might say, well, the weight loss was probably going to be faster on some other diet. That maybe so, right? You could have cut off your left leg and lost more pounds quicker. But to be able to heal mentally and to get some physical health benefits while also losing weight is just incredible. I'm so glad you came here to share today, Sunny. It is such an honor to have you in our groups. And I know other people, when they hear this, well, it will surely give somebody hope. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for coming on to share next, Cindy. What's your story, Morning Glory?
Hey, Kelly, I so love you. I've watched you for over 4.5 years now.
Wow.
You're one of the reasons I started carnivore in January 2024.
Okay.
Before that, my life was a lot like Sunny's. I was self-sabotaging through so much, alcohol and addiction and mental health, and on 4 medications with the psychiatrist. I had a friend, and we would always go out to eat on Friday night, wherever the group wanted to go. And she was always yo-yoing. And I just became interested, and she was just started keto, and I'd watch how she did it.
Yes.
Do it, I'm going to do it. It wasn't until January 20th. So we got stranded in the snow next town up. I started then. There was a Hardee's and a McDonald's. And my husband would walk over there, and I would get hamburger patties from Hardee's or their sausage fried egg off the biscuit, and I started then and just kept going. But I struggle with slipping up a lot. So I said, I heard you and someone else, you did a video on, you just need coaching. And I decided I need some coaching. So I got with you last March and April. Up to today, I'm off blood pressure medicine. I'm off of 4 mental health medications. I identify with the addiction of sugar. That's why I picked you. Addiction. And now it's helped break the cravings, because I fell off so many times through the last 4.5 years. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Why am I go to Walmart and I can get that, and eat it while I'm there. Like it was the old habits that I used to do, or like, with your drive-thrus, things like that. So I've pretty much successfully not done any of that for the last 3 months. And I thought, man, you know what it is? I don't need enough fat.
Oh, yeah.
And I started increasing my fat. I've just learned so much, and I do feel like I'm in a tribe.
Yes.
And if it's not ancestral and it's got more than 1 or 2 ingredients, I don't want it.
Right.
I struggled, all my life. I was chubby as a kid. We ate what we was given. Yeah. I can remember my granddaddy sitting there eating Captain Crunch and dying with diabetes.
Yes.
So it was always about food. Everywhere I went was about food. My heaviest was on a 206, but I maintained 172.
Oh, that's great.
No, that was where I was stuck for so many years. No, I'm down. I lost 66 pounds.
Oh, okay. Well, I was ready to celebrate the 30-pound loss, but we'll take 66.
No, you helped me break that 30-pound loss last year that made it to 66. I lost over 25 pounds with you last year. I mean, for what you taught me.
So you've lost 60 pounds, you've come off some medications, but you seem to be feeling pretty good.
Yes. I'm retired. I'm happy where I'm at.
I'm thrilled for you, Cindy. I'm thrilled for all of you. Anybody watching right now, we've covered a host. I think, mercy, everybody listed so many different things that they were suffering from before. None of us here are going around starving all day. We've done starvation diets. We're not here for it. We're over it, and we're going to eat. And what are we going to eat? Meat. That's right. We're going to eat meat. So all of us here, Do all of us, all day, every day, eat animal products? Yeah, that's it. If you don't know what a carnivore diet is, welcome to the channel. We eat meat, eggs, dairy, if and when we can tolerate it. But the majority of our food is meat, beef, pork, chicken, fish, sardines included. But most of us, I think, probably eat beef the most. Would y'all say that's probably true? I think that's true for most carnivores. Certainly true for me. I love that Cindy heard what carnivore was, and she said, well, there's a Hardee's and a McDonald's next door. Let's do it. And you just went and ordered some burger patties. Sometimes people will question and read and say, well, I haven't read every book on the topic ever written, and I don't know how to cook a perfect ribeye. It's okay, baby. Just go order some burger patties and eat those. Congrats. It's day one of carnivore. We don't have to make it complicated. I love that we mentioned an air fryer makes it so easy. And it's good to see y'all smiling and thriving and feeling good enough to come on a camera and tell other people how you did it. So thank y'all for being here, and I'll see you in the groups this week. And I'll see the rest of you next Saturday. Thank you. Bye, everybody.